What's up guys, welcome once again to the channel. So in today's video we'll be making a stylish A-line dress. In my previous video I made an A-line dress and I told you we'll be using the pattern to modify and make several other A-line dresses on the channel. So today we'll modify last week's pattern and make an A-line dress with some pleats at the bottom. If you're new to my channel, kindly subscribe and turn on the notification bell as I upload tutorials on this channel weekly. Without further ado, let's begin. This is the pattern from the previous A-line dress drafting. So this is what it looks like. So we're just going to modify the neckline. You remember that in the previous video we made a wide neck almost off the shoulder, and I said we're going to modify that to make several other A-line dresses. So today I had to just stick on an extra pattern paper on that neckline just to create a new neckline. So what you just need to do is to measure from this shoulder line all the way to the waistline and make sure you have the correct dimension before you cut the neckline. We want our neckline to be 5 inches at the front and 1.5 at the back. So the width of the neckline will be 4 inches. So that's 4 inches and the depth is 5. So we'll mark that. Then we're going to link up the dots. Then for the back neckline, we want 1.5. So remember that we're using this pattern for both front and back. A ½ inch seam allowance on the shoulder line. So we want to drop our shoulder by 1 inch to create our slants. So just go ahead and cut our neckline, then we'll cut on fabric. Now before we cut on fabric, let me just quickly show you again. This is the armhole for the front. So if you want to cut the front pattern, you fold this away and cut the front pattern, but while cutting the back pattern we need to cut from this part of the armhole. I already explained that in my previous video because you know we always go in by 0.75 when we're cutting the front armhole. Cut this. So we'll cut the back pattern first. This is the pattern for the back. Then when we finish, we'll fold this away and cut the front neckline before we cut the front pattern. So in order to create our pleat, we want to measure 12 inches from the bottom. So from the bottom of our dress, of the pattern, we're just going to measure 12 inches upwards. Then we'll cut this off, or you can fold it away so that we can still use this pattern to cut other A-line dresses. So fold that there. Then we want to cut our fabric from here to here. Remember to add your seam allowance on the neckline, shoulder line, and at the bottom. So we'll cut the center front unfold. So that's the front pattern and this is the back. I've cut them on fabric. Next up, we're going to cut the pleats. To cut for the pleat, that's it. Remember our 12 inches that we measured at the hem. So you measure that 12 inches, then you're going to add 1.5 for your hemming allowance at the bottom. And that's so it's going to be continuous length. Okay, so it has a pleat and a flare at the same time. I have a video on this channel where I cut a spiral flare. So that video is somewhere on this channel. I'm going to link it to the description of this video. You can just cut that, use the spiral flare to fuse on that part of the dress, or better still, you just do what I'm doing. So I just got a piece of fabric from there. I'm just going to be folding. So I just fold, this is 4, and I'm going to fold one more time, and that will be okay. So I just folded one more time. and this is what I have. I'm doing this like this because of the length of fabric I have. Okay, so the length of this fabric is 15 inches. So the length of the flare I'm cutting is 4 inches. Okay, so I just want to cut 5 because I will have my seam allowance at the top and at the bottom of the flare. Okay, so just cut 5 inches from this side. Then from the other side as well, I'll measure 5 inches. This is just an easy way of cutting continuous flare if you don't want to do the spiral flare. Now from that end too, I'm still going to measure my 5 inches. Okay, once I've marked all those dots, I'll now start from there and go round. Measure my 5 inches there, mark here and mark here. I'll just go round with my 5 inches. Some joining on it, so that's why I just cut my flare like this. There are just different ways of arriving at the same result. Okay, so I'll just join all of these together. Okay, I'll just join them like that and make them to be in continuous length. Okay, so when I have it in continuous length like that, then I'll fuse my interfacing. I'll fuse some interfacing and lining on it to make it firm. I can just use this to cut our lining. So that's my interfacing. I have 3 meters of interfacing here. I may not need all. Then I have 2 meters of my lining. So I've gone ahead to cut my sleeves as well. So I used the basic sleeve pattern. Okay, so this is what a basic sleeve pattern looks like when you cut on fabric. So after cutting that, I had to just extend the hem of the sleeve. So instead of leaving it as it is, I added 2 inches at that point to extend it a bit. So the length of our sleeve is 19 inches and I measured 12 inch from the shoulder. From that point, so measure 12 inches and that's where we want our curve to go from. So we're just going to curve it out a bit like that. Okay, so once you've done that, you now want to go ahead and cut your flare for the sleeve. After that, I just went ahead to cut the lining as well for that bit. So we'll start sewing.